railroads were, in essence, absolutely critical to the Holocaust.
I came in contact with 5 times with the railroad tracks, with the cattle cars going to different concentration camps. The saddest one was when we came to the railroad tracks and the trains going to Auschwitz.
It was taking the Nazis too long to execute the final solution. So they came up with the idea that they would reverse the modality of killing. Instead of sending killers to their victims, mobile killers, stationary victims, they sent victims to their killers. They made the victims mobile and they sent them to stationary killing centers.
This was the last day that I was with my family together. Everybody was together on a train, and that was for days. They packed us into that cattle car with a little bit of straw on the floor. We had no food, they didn't feed us. We were just like animals, like cows. The train couldn't ride without the railings, the tracks, railroad tracks.
Auschwitz had 44 parallel railroad tracks. Penn Station only has 21. So Auschwitz became Auschwitz because it was the railroad intersection of different rail lines from throughout Europe. And therefore you could send Jews from the 4 corners of Europe to Auschwitz. Stockton has this incredible program of Holocaust education. It's expanding its existing Holocaust Resource Center.
And then we came up with the idea of let's make a canopy of railroad tracks over the entrance. So from the start we wanted something that represented the discomfort of the period.
So when I hear the whistle of a train today and the noises, you know, it always comes into my mind.
We looked for authentic railroad track. The railroad track that was in use in Poland between 1941 and 44, namely the railroad track that was used en route to the death camp.
These are the rails that took millions of people to various concentration camps where they were gassed and burned.
Kola befriended the warehouse of the Polish railway system. We want to do a sculpture in America that's a memorial to the Holocaust. Able to get the railroad track from Bialystok from along a main line. So we bought the track and we had it shipped from Poland to the United States.
arrived in New York Harbor. We opened up the container and we found that there was only wine glasses in there, that the container was basically empty. We knew that they were treated like a treasure, like a piece of history, an important piece of history. And then about a week later, they were sent to Stockton College on a flatbed truck. There were Holocaust survivors when the tracks arrived.
It brought back a distinct memory of my family, my grandparents on both sides, my uncles and aunts and cousins, many of them, who were on these tracks and taken to Auschwitz and other places and exterminated like so much garbage. It was very, very hard for me to see this because it brought home the fact that I'm still here, and I was fortunate enough not to be with them at the time.
That whole outside is distressful.
It's just amazing how far these things have come, you know, where they've been and everything.
Very dark, yes, dark memories. I just looked at him in Stockton and I thought of all the things that we experienced with those railroad tracks. And I was filled with emotion and tears because I remember what happened.
This is our feature of the entrance. We wanted to make them very important aesthetically. You can't miss them.
When you come in, heavy laden above our heads now as they are, lead you to the educational classrooms, to the sense that they, even in the midst of one of the darkest moments of human history, our hope is in education. For me, it's one of the most staggering and significant architectural statements about the Holocaust that you'll find anywhere.
The architect could have just made a faux railroad tracks and tried to create the same effect, but it wouldn't have the same effect. These are actual tracks in which those railroad cars brought victims into the camps, and those actual tracks are here with us is a very, very eerie feeling.
I was surprised. Makes me feel, you know, that we accomplished something. We all do for history, so things will not repeat.
And when people see these rails, so they have to think about the times when people were on those trains with the rails taking them to be killed. The lesson is to be aware what can happen, to never be intolerant towards others, to never be a silent bystander, and to speak up, no matter who it is, not allow prejudice, hatred, or when they see injustice done to anybody.